Hello friends, welcome back to GM Philosophy in the Morning. I'm the GM Philosopher. Today I want to throw a kind of abstract weird idea at you. What if I told you the dungeon in D&D is more than just a bunch of rooms and monsters? What if it's actually a metaphor for something a bit more personal, even a bit more human? I think the dungeon is us, or more specifically, our mind. Now stick with me for a minute, let me explain. If you've ever wondered why we always seem to end up back in the dungeon again and again, well, you are not alone. This is actually something I've been thinking about for a while now, and it cuts to the heart of the philosophy of why we play TTRPGs, but also why we enjoy other types of art like fantasy video games or novels. Why are we always crawling through dungeons might be the more pointed question. Think about it. Every campaign eventually leads underground, into some ruin, some lost temple, some maze of dangers, secrets, shadows. This is a very common trope that reoccurs in fantasy TTRPGs, video games, and lore, stories, etc. And sure, it's great gameplay. It presents a great story structure, but I actually think there's more to it than that. And that's where I want you to let me know what you think about this. So drop a comment, let me know what you think. I think we feel something when we enter a dungeon, be it through a TTRPG or in a video game or whatever, something deep, something that is maybe a little eerily familiar, even if we don't know why. It's like we're going somewhere important, somewhere real, and it's almost like there's a subconscious thing at work that causes us to want to delve into these things. And here's what it is. This is what I think it is. I think the dungeon represents the unknown parts of ourselves, our life, and our existence. The stuff under the surface, the stuff that isn't readily apparent, in just everyday perception. It's like the physical version of your subconscious, the part of your mind you don't always want to look at, or maybe even the part of your mind that you don't always give enough attention to because you're so busy doing other things like work, life responsibilities, paying the bills, whatever. What about the monsters? Well, those are the symbolism of fear, of memory, of pain. What about the traps? The traps are self-doubt, perhaps regret, kind of stuff that holds us back that we don't even notice, right? And what about the treasure? Well, the treasure at the other end, that's paradise, that's growth, that's what we climb the mountain and delve into the dungeon for. There's something at the other end that we desperately want, that we desire. It could be understanding, it could be clarity, it could literally be riches, but at its core, it's reward. Something we desire is rewarding us for going through the dungeon, for going through the dark things, for facing the monsters and the demons and the dark places. In a way, every dungeon crawl is a little journey into our own human mind. And whether players realize it or not, they're not just exploring a map when they delve into this, they're exploring something inward, something within themselves. And that's partly why I think dungeons are a little bit deeper than just, stone walls underground. I think there's something deeper at play here. And I know that there's a lot of conversation about how the dungeon could be more of a structure for an encounter. It doesn't have to literally be a dungeon in D&D, but I do believe that we return to the dungeon in D&D and in our TTRPGs with surprising frequency. I mean, think about your own games. Think about how fun it is to run a dungeon. Think about how interesting it is. Think about how everyone tends to get really excited about the dungeon, right? I think there's something mythological here. I think there's something psychological going on. So a question bears asking, why do we keep going back to the dungeons? Why do they excite us? And why is it such a big deal? Well, I kind of think this is therapeutic for us. Deep down, we know we're not done growing as people. We're not done learning. We're not done facing our own monsters, our own demons, our own challenges, our own regrets, our own dangerous things in the dark that we're maybe even unaware of yet, but that cause us anxiety. Dungeons are where real change happens. You go in one person. You fight through all this stuff that you were not ready for. Even though you tried to be prepared and you knew there was probably going to be scary stuff in there, you're still surprised by what you find. It's still probably way worse than you anticipated. Sound familiar? Does that sound familiar to anyone? And then you come out the other side different, or at least your character does. You've survived something. You've faced something. You've earned something. And that's what makes a dungeon crawl satisfying. It's not always just about the loot or the XP. It's almost more about becoming someone new, about leveling up, getting new abilities, and also the arc of your character, right? So if you're a game master, this can be used to reframe the way we think about dungeons. Don't just fill them with random encounters and traps, though I love a good random encounter, but you can make the most of dungeons. You can leverage the psychological mirroring feature of dungeons, the way that they're kind of a mirror of the human mind in a way. You can ask some sort of mythic questions, questions about the myth, questions about the analogies to real life mirrored in the dungeon setting. What is this place really about? What's the emotional core here? What's it forcing the characters, or maybe even the players, to face? Make your dungeons personal. Make the monsters mean something. Give them teeth beyond just physical teeth. Make them an existential challenge for your players. And then finally, make the treasure feel earned. Provide that character development that comes along with it. When you do that, you're not just running a dungeon crawl, you're helping these characters go through something in a shared storytelling narrative. And they're going to come out the other side with more perspective. This is character development. You're supplying a vital resource to your players, which is the means to develop their characters and make them even more prolific, even more pronounced, even more, dare I say it, the types of character we truly want to run, because characters do develop into this heroic character, but there's a sense where they have to prove themselves in order to get there. Sound familiar again? Does this sound familiar to anyone? You could almost describe it like this. That is literally the essence of storytelling, not just for player characters, but also for us humans in our life. We are telling a story with our lives. And I believe that it's not a coincidence that we find it fun, therapeutic, engaging to run characters through simulations that mirror our own reality. So the dungeon is definitely more than an underground pile of bricks and HP bars and monsters and traps. It's a reflection of us, our fears, our struggles, our curiosity, our existential dread, our hope for something greater. And every time we go back down into the dungeon, we're doing what humans have always done. We go into the dark looking for answers, for meaning, for something worth bringing back, perhaps even for something to characterize our existence as significant. And if you as the game master can lean into that in your games, even just a little, you can turn simple dungeons into something way bigger, more impactful, more significant for your players. And boom, that is going to conclude my thoughts on this today. If you want to learn more about how to make your games even more awesome, download my free ebook, 10-Minute GM Mastery. This ebook was created to help further the mission of empowering game masters to run better games, which is the goal of this channel. So if that sounds like the goal for you, download this free ebook. It contains 10 tips. It's a quick 10-minute read to help you level up with 3 levels of knowledge for each tip, helping you to go deeper and deeper. This was put together based on 20 years of GMing knowledge from me. Friends, thank you so much for coming back for another video. I hope that this has given you a little bit of stuff to reflect on as you prepare your next dungeon. Make sure you join our Discord. Link to all the good stuff is in the description. You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up button. I will see you awesome people on the next one.